pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Kathy Altensee.
Here.
Melinda Cook.
Here.
Joy Sellers.
Here.
Kevin McElwain.
Here.
You're here.
You made it.
Okay. Yeah.
You can have that chair right there.
I'm all right. I want to be here for a couple minutes.
Take it. Now,
We have a quorum.
You didn't say me. Patrick Sellers, I'm here too.
Sellers.
Yes, I'm here too, so let's not forget me.
Got this.
All righty, we have a quorum. All right, the first order of business is approval of the minutes for August 15th, 2022 meeting. And motion and second, please.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Augustine, second by Sellers. Please take a look at the minutes if you haven't done so already. Any question on the minutes, trustees?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. The next order of business is approval of bills payable, and a motion and second, please.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by McElwain, second by Augustine. Please take a look at the bills payable, trustees.
Yeah, what is the data conversion? The consultant data conversion from DRI?
That's from Maida's office. They're switching over to that new system that they have.
Oh, okay, that's,
And that's what
okay,
that's for.
okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
And is Inky Printers taking the place of, did they used to get them at Eastman?
Yes, we used to get them at Eastman. So now, since they're not in business anymore, we use Inky Printers. We're trying to stay as local as possible doing everything. So,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
the total at the bottom, where's that number from? Because I'm not.
Total at the bottom.
Oh, wait, never mind. I was like repeatedly, never mind. I figured it out.
Okay.
There's a method to that madness. And I forget it sometimes.
Sorry, I was just looking at it wrong.
Is bank check plus where you ordered more checks?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's what I thought. The Walmart,
Mm-hmm.
what is that?
Emergency assistance. We had a individual call in, and they are in a pretty bad state. Their home has mold, and they needed to something to and send us a doctor's note in needing dehumidifier.
Oh, okay.
And so they fit the criteria for emergency assistance, so that's what to get them to dehumidifiers. And that's a yeah.
Is
so
that
that's what's
both
going
of
on
them?
there.
What about,
Yes,
yeah,
that's
there's
two of them.
for
The-
No,
emergency assistance.
the other one is someone who was behind on their rent, and they had legitimate reason why they were behind. The individual lost their job, recently started another job, so they are employed, but they just didn't have enough to get themselves over the hump. So
Okay.
Is
That's
that
the-
the Northern
Mhm.
Illinois Regional
Yep.
Affordable
Yep.
Housing?
Yep,
Okay.
yep, yep.
Two of those, and then another, whatever we endeavor.
That was the
Would it
same.
be 4 different people or all the same person?
No, it's 4 different people.
It's different people.
Different people. Yeah, no, not the same person. That was another situation where if I'm not mistaken, the
I mean,
husband injured and something happened. He got injured on the job. He is starting back to work now, and they got behind on their rent. So they fit all of our criteria for general assistance, and we assisted them. I mean, for emergency assistance, and we assisted them. So
Great.
we are making sure that we are asking all the proper questions, and we are doing everything that we can do to assist where we can. Not everybody qualifies. We've had multiple inquiries, and some people didn't qualify. Some did, some didn't.
isn't this like,
So-
and it's like only a one time, people can only get one emergency?
That's what we have it set up as. Now, it's not one emergency for the rest of your life. Now, come on, we understand that.
An emergency
year.
year.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but we do. It has to be an emergency situation. We had one gentleman call up and said, "Well, I can't afford to do such as because inflation."
I mean, it really is
Join the crowd.
rushing.
I was like, man, I totally understand, man. I mean, you and I are in the same boat.
Right.
Hopefully, maybe we can paddle together because we're both in the same boat. But
I guess,
so
like, the thing about, though, like, when someone says inflation right now, it's like if you were making $12 an hour, say, and now suddenly everything at the grocery store is $5, like, that is
yes,
where, like, how do you fix that?
that's a difficult one to fix.
And I miss getting the food ads that we used to get on Tuesdays.
Oh, we don't get them
from the-
anymore?
We don't get the newspaper
Oh,
anymore.
okay.
And the food ads, so you could see, okay, a gallon of milk is almost $4 or $5. Depends on where you go.
Right. Are there any questions more questions or claims in the man's
I'm
trustee?
done. I'm
Good.
done.
Okay, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Cook,
Yes.
McElwain,
Aye.
Sellers,
Aye.
Aldenson,
Aye.
Sellers.
Aye.
Motion passed.
All righty. The next order of business is the annual financial audit report from the bidding group.
All right.
I'll take her away. Do I need a motion second for that?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Just a
Okay.
report.
Just a report. Huh? Okay.
Thank you,
Alright.
Patrick. My name is Kyle Demas. I'm a CPA with Benning Group here in Freeport. We just concluded the audit for your fiscal year ended April 30th of 2022. You got a couple of different packets in front of you there. The one thicker bound copy is where I'll start, and then the smaller stapled copy is where I'll finish with that at the end. So I'll just reference a few things within that larger report there. That's obviously complete set of financial statements, consolidated financial statements, fund financial statements as you're used to seeing, and then footnote disclosures to support and describe all that information. If you flip past the table of contents in there, the first letter on our letterhead there with our blue logo at the top, that's our audit opinion. Essentially, that's what you pay us to provide on your financial statements. And as has been the case in the past, our opinion on your financial statements is unmodified, which means it's a clean opinion overall. We'll touch on a few things in detail in the smaller letter, just some recommendations and some issues that we encountered, but overall, clean opinion on the financial statements. The financial statements are fairly presented in our opinion, which means everything's in the right bucket, in the right spot, on the right line in the report, so. The next couple pages that follow those letters, page 4 and page 5 that you'll see on the bottom, those are the consolidated financial statements where I don't think you're typically accustomed to seeing everything combined like they are here. This is simply a governmental reporting requirement, how we kind of lump everything together. So you'll see on page 5, which you'll have to kind of turn on its side, the third line from the bottom where it says change in net position, that's essentially your combined surplus for the year across all of your funds. So you operated 177,000 in the black for the year. You flip over then to page 7, you'll see similar line, three lines from the bottom on page 7 again, where it says change in fund balance. You'll see the total number off to the right-hand side is 181,000. The way we're required to report things is there is a depreciation component to the tune of about $4,200 that you don't have presented to you in cash basis financial statements. So that 181 is more indicative of your actual cash basis operations for the year. You kind of see by fund, general assistance, insurance. Those are what are deemed to be major funds based on different calculations that we have to do related to the audit. And then your other funds, IMRF, FICA, audit, are all combined in that other governmental funds column there. And there's detail in the back that builds up to support all those numbers as well. So all in all, 180,000 roughly in the black for the fiscal year ended back in April. Okay, any questions on that part of it? All right, I'm gonna skip over a handful of footnotes. A lot of it at the beginning of those is consistent from year to year. Not a lot changes there. It really describes the background of your entity for accounting purposes. Not a whole lot of exciting stuff going on in the first handful of footnotes there. I do want to call your attention to the page 22. This is in the middle of a pretty expansive footnote on your position with IMRF and your retirement plan. So every year, actuaries look at the IMRF plan as a whole, and then your component of that pooled together with all the other state agencies that are involved in that. What that first column on page 22 there at the top represents the number at the bottom where it says balances at December 31st, 2021, 3,853,000. That's basically representative of what the actuaries calculate all township current and former IMRF employees would need to be paid out in their retirement through their lives. The second column, planned fiduciary net position, is your value of your specific account within IMRF collectively. So it looks like a negative number there, which it is, 558,000, but that's a positive thing in this case where you're actually over $500,000 overfunded for what the actuaries calculate you would need to pay your retirees. Wasn't the case a handful of years ago. Even with the market conditions done what it's done, I'm sure we'll see a dip on that going into end of this current calendar year. But position as of December 31st of 2021, you had over $500,000 more than what was needed at that time to pay your IMRF retirees. And that's all factored into the rate. Your IMRF rate changes every year. Those factors are built into whether that rate goes up or down each calendar year.
And it doesn't very rarely go down.
It all depends on where that position is. So now, last year, there's a table at the back that shows, and actually let's just flip to that. So let's flip to page. There's some budget to actual detail in there. If you flip over to page, oops, I don't have a page number on there. The one that looks like this, okay, sideways, long schedule, says other information, municipal, yeah, what page is that, Joy?
It doesn't say, oh, 34.
34.
Thank you, Joy.
I printed mine before we put the page numbers on. So I just jotted down a couple of notes on other ones. This here shows kind of a historical table of that pension liability. So if you look, it'd be 4 lines from the bottom. If you look over to the far right-hand side, in 2015 you were underfunded almost 400,000.
Oh, wow.
So then as you move to the left, those are, years closer to present time. You can see how that's fluctuated, and then just in 2020, did that pension liability actually become a pension asset where you were overfunded 137,000. Now that's grown again in the last year to over $500,000. So depending on market conditions and all the other factors that the actuaries consider, your rate, presumably would decrease some. Depends on what the market did as far as IMRF's investments are concerned. So yes, to say it hasn't decreased over the last handful of years, that would be accurate because you haven't been in the position that you've been in the past.
Thank goodness.
Okay. There is some more detail that follows that. Again, it's detail that is just combined into what's reported at the front. So it breaks out those other non-major funds into a little bit more detail, but that's really about the extent of what I wanted to cover in that bound report. Anybody have any questions as far as numbers are concerned? Obviously, it's a lot of information to throw at you at once, so you can always follow up with Liz or me later if you're looking at something that doesn't make sense, but anything offhand before I move on? No? Alright, good. So then the other letter there, the skinnier one, stapled together, that is our management letter. It's our required communication as auditors to you as the board, various things related to our audit. In here, you'll see on page 2, there's a section towards the bottom that says difficulties encountered in performing the audit. Had no difficulties as far as working with Patrick, working with Liz, obtaining the documentation we needed, none whatsoever. The issues that we've encountered this year are the same ones that we've had where QuickBooks is not nice to use for governmental agencies that have multiple funds, like yours does. There are just inherent liabilities in QuickBooks where it cannot do the allocations of payroll and benefits and things like that across multiple categories. And as you can see in the front of our audit report, and the statements that you get, is that each one of your funds balance amongst themselves. QuickBooks doesn't allow you to do that. So we have to go through a process every year to basically get a bunch of unallocated activity spread across the funds where it should be. It's been the same since we've done the audit for, I think, close to 10 years now, Patrick, right? This year was significantly more difficult, and I'm not 100% sure why. So we looked into different solutions. That's where the ClerkBooks solution came from. It's something that, talking with other governmental agencies that have used it, it's a great solution. QuickBooks is a very powerful, and it can do what you need it to, but it has its limitations. So ClerkBooks is kind of the municipal patch, so to speak, for QuickBooks. So I know it's a significant investment on your side. We had to charge additional $2,500 on our audit fees this year just for the additional time that it took us to basically get numbers that we could audit. And that in itself kind of starts to blur lines of independence on, you know, how active can we be in balancing it and still maintain independence to audit those numbers as well. So your investment, in that case, if you look at that cost compared to what you paid for it, 3 years-ish, you'll have that covered with your investment in QuickBooks. And I think it'll provide a huge benefit to Liz and her balancing processes. I think it'll simplify a lot of things on her end as well. So when we typically don't have many items in that difficulties encountered, but because of the things we ran into this year, not anyone's fault, simply a limitation in software, we felt it was appropriate to mention that in there this year.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So is it just this last fiscal year that they've done the clerk books?
So my understanding, talking with Liz and Patrick here last week, is that they were going to go back to January of 2022 and start to import activity there. So then ideally we get numbers in QuickBooks on Liz's side that match exactly with our audit report. So the current fiscal year you're in, when we go to do this a year from now, will be exactly where we left off here.
Great.
And it'll be much smoother. Anytime there's software transitions, there's always hiccups, so we'll have to work through that in the first year. But I'm very encouraged and hopeful that it's going to be a really good solution for you guys.
Cool.
And for us, ultimately, truly, when it gets to us too. So it'll save us time, which saves you money. So,
Perfect.
Okay, thank you.
all right. One item on the top of page 3, we have to call out any what we deem to be significant journal entries. We had some journal entries this year to post with accounts payable, just because you don't report accounts payable. So bills that Liz entered before the end of the year just needed to be backed off because they hadn't been paid yet. Cash basis, you record the expenses when they're actually paid. Page 4 jumps into a few internal control items that we're required to communicate to you. The one on the bottom of page 4 is the same that it has been there forever. Liz has control over pretty much the entire financial reporting function. So the accounting industry says, nope, one hand in too many different buckets. So we just have to call attention to that. We have no concerns about the controls that are in place. You guys are approving the bills. You're looking at budget to actual information on a periodic basis. So there are safeguards in place to mitigate those risks, but not to the extent where we could not have this in our report, basically. So no changes from that end. The second item there, trial balance and pool check and reconciliations, that's the exact issue that I just went over as far as having individually balanced funds within QuickBooks. Basically what gets out of line is your pool checking account, where you have all of your funds that have a cash interest in one bank account, and that's where QuickBooks has its limitations to where it can cleanly divide up that activity across those funds. So that's that item that I've already hit on there. And the material journal entries, that was a comment in the past, much improved in that area. We didn't have to adjust the books from a number standpoint like that near as much as what we've had in the past, but because we have the accounts payable that I mentioned earlier, we still need to include that item there. So I'm confident that if things go well with the clerk books conversion, that the only thing that will remain next year is that segregation of duties item that will be there until you hire 5 more people to be in your accounting department.
That many?
No,
That ain't gonna
not
happen.
quite that many, but you and all small municipalities have the same conflict, so. Again, no concern from my end, more of a formality than anything that we have to include in there.
Gotcha.
So people or businesses are still using QuickBooks. True?
QuickBooks is a tremendous asset. And
Because I
for
took the
businesses,
class out at Highland.
for businesses and entities like yours that aren't split up into multiple funds,
Uh-huh.
QuickBooks is an amazing tool.
Yeah.
Right.
And it does 99% of what you need it to do, but kind of that final balancing that needs to happen, it can't do it. It's not built that way.
And I'm not sure ClerkBooks was available when we started.
When you started QuickBooks,
Yeah.
absolutely not. You've been on QuickBooks for a long time. I don't know when QuickBooks originated.
Never heard of it.
I just became aware of it here within the last 6 months when I mentioned it to Liz. Shoot, had I known sooner, I'd have mentioned it a long time ago. But yeah, QuickBooks is a great tool, but it just has its limitations when you're trying to use it in the capacity that you are here.
So will we just totally do the clerk books and we won't do QuickBooks, or what?
It's
both?
integrated.
It's
Oh,
integrated.
okay.
It's integrated together, Liz.
Okay.
I don't even want to speak on
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
Liz
right.
has been
No, I
through
just
the
wanted to
training
know
and
that
stuff,
we-
so.
Okay, okay.
So
Very good.
that's my spiel.
Okay.
Any questions from
No.
anybody?
Too many numbers, no questions.
That's too bad. Nope, I'm good.
Yep.
All right.
All right.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate you
Thank
guys having me.
you. Yeah.
Enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank you.
It's
You as
nice
well.
out.
Yeah.
The next order of business is the proposed intergovernmental agreement between the city of Freeport and for security cameras. I'm going to postpone that, guys,
Okay.
because there's more information that I need to collect, and I will let you guys know the progress of everything at the next meeting. But right now, we're still too far out to present anything just yet. I mean, we got it done, but we're still back and forth, and we're going negotiating cameras and camera pricing and all that stuff. And so until we get all that hammered down, I want to present you guys with the full packet and not come with something that have to come back and give you this piece, give you that piece. I want to get it all together and then give it to you guys all in one time. Okay, so I'm postponing that.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Next one has been the supervisor's report, and let's see what I have to talk about.
I know one thing that was on here. Oh, no, it ain't.
Because you know I was gonna tell you.
What?
Okay. I really don't have anything to report on. So, no. Next one has been the assessor report. Since the assessor isn't here, she has nothing to report on. The next one has been the trustees report. Trustees.
I don't know if I might have forgot, or did we ever get the report from Spigot on?
No, we haven't. We haven't done that yet.
Okay, that was my question.
That's coming. We haven't done it yet.
Okay, that was the only thing.
What report are you talking?
We're talking about managed services from Spigot for our IT services, and we're waiting on to get information back from them. So
Okay,
yeah,
that's
that's
all.
coming at a later date.
Thanks for bringing that up.
Yes, thank you for reminding me. Trustees, anything? No? Okay. Next order of business is public comment. Any public comments? No public comments. Any other business coming for the town? I will entertain a motion to adjourn
Well,
until Monday, September 19th, 2022 at 4:30 p.m. Motion is second.
So moved.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.